Hello all. So let's continue with the problems related to phase rule and phase diagram of the water system. Yes. In our previous video, we had started with one of the problems along with the discussion of metastable equilibrium, and the problem states that there is water in a container with you and you have water vapor also above that, the level of water. So the number of components remains as 1 over here. Why? Because both these phases are made up of just one component, that is H2O, water. So number of components is 1 over here, and to define this particular state of the system, you need just 1 degree of freedom. Either it is the temperature or it is the pressure which is sufficient to define the system. So here the degree of freedom is also 1. It is a univariant system. Okay, now let's move on to the next problem. We have a system wherein NaCl is there in the solid phase, and also NaCl in the aqueous phase is there. That means what the now let's look at the problem first. This equation is suggesting us two things. First is that NaCl is taken up in the solid state, and what is written on the right hand side of the arrow, that it is in the aqueous state. That means definitely the presence of water is there inside the system. Okay, so let's start with the number of equations first. Why? Because we need to calculate the number of components here, and C is equal to N minus E, right? E stands for the number of equations in terms of which the entire system can be defined. Okay, so let's start writing with the number of equations first, or the different equations that are participant to this particular system. Okay, so the first equation that we can write over here, since NaCl is present in the aqueous state, right? So that means the dissociation of NaCl can be possible. Okay, so one of the equation here that can be written is NaCl, okay, in the aqueous state. It is in the aqueous state for which only this equation can be written. And the same equation cannot be said for the solid state of NaCl. Okay, so for NaCl aqueous, that means it gets dissociated into Na plus and Cl minus. So this is one of the possible equations that can represent a part of the system with us. Okay, another equation that can be written about is, let's search if what is the other one. For that sake, we need to see what are the different components which are present in our system. It is only NaCl and nothing else besides that, and that too NaCl in aqueous state, for which we have already written the equation. Okay, so that means none other equation with respect to the chemical species is there that can be written up. Okay, so let's conclude up with the number of equations over here. And how to conclude with it now? First, we need to check up before finalizing the number of equations as to whether do we have any of the presence of ions in our system, right? So if the ions are present in our system, that means definitely there can be another equation which is called as electroneutrality equation. It is nothing complicated, but actually this equation is written as a whole to represent all the neutralization reactions or the actions which are taking place between the different types of ions which are present here, that is the oppositely charged ions which are present here. Obviously any system tries to come into the stable state, right? So a positively charged species will obviously be looking for the negatively charged species over here in the system. Okay, so overall for all those such kind of ions, we write just one equation, that is electroneutrality equation. So whenever there is a presence of ions in your system, remember this is the thumb rule, okay, for defining the number of components as well as the number of equations specifically. This is the thumb rule, that whenever the presence of ions are there in your system, without giving a second thought, you just write down one of the equations as electroneutrality equation, right? Okay, so there are overall just two equations which can be written over here. That means the value of E in this expression, C is equal to N minus E, the value of E is 2 over here. Okay, now let's talk about the number of species which can be present. How to determine that? For that sake, you need to go back to the question again. So you have NaCl in your system. Now, how to solve these problems? You just need some little bit of imagination over here. Okay, so what do you imagine? You just imagine that the entire question that has been given to you is just put up in a container. It's a huge, it's a beaker which carries all these components which are given in the equation. Okay, so in your beaker, what all are you carrying? You are having NaCl in your beaker, you're having Na plus ions in your beaker, you're having Cl minus ion in your beaker. When I'm saying in your beaker, that means obviously the beaker is your entire system which contains all these components. Okay, and with that also you have the water present in the system. Okay, why? Because aqueous is given over here, right? So the number of equations had come out to be 2 from these 2 equations. And what will be the number of species? 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So the number of components will be 4 minus 2. That gives me the answer of 2. So the number of components for this system will be 2. This is how we go on for solving the problems, right? Okay, so the first step is write down the different components, okay, in the system, and then look for the number of equations that can be written to represent that entire system. Okay, the second part is you write down the number of species, all the species you jot down which are present in the system. Okay, so you count the species and definitely you'll be landing up with the number of components with those particular informations. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. This is quite interesting. You have 2 systems. I give you KCl and I give you NaCl and then water. So my beaker is now carrying KCl and then NaCl and water. Okay. Now the question says that this system is a 3-component system. Okay. Whereas if another beaker that I give you is carrying NaCl, but instead of KCl, but instead of NaCl, I have replaced it with NaBr now. Okay, all the other compounds or the species are just the same. Okay, so just replacing one of the compound here changes the entire component system. Okay, so how does that occur? How do we justify it? Okay, that's very simple. This question can be asked in other forms also, as to KCl, NaBr, and H2O. How many components are there? Okay, what component system is this? Okay, that can be given as this form also. Or let's say how many number of species are there? How many number of equations can you create for this system? Okay, so let's start with the KCl, NaCl water system. Right. So the KCl, NaCl water, let me write down the chemical equations, right? So how do we go with that? I take down this system, I write the system over here, and I then start with each compound which is given to me. I start with NaCl, or let's say I start with KCl. Okay, KCl is present in my beaker. Again, you go to the imagination section, right? KCl is present in the beaker, so water is there, so that means definitely it is in the aqueous state, right? So in the aqueous state, it gets dissociated into K plus ion and Cl minus ion, right? So this is one of the equations that can be formed. Another equation is NaCl getting dissociated into Na plus and Cl minus. So this is the second equation. Okay. Now, the third equation can be only due to the presence of these oppositely charged ions, and definitely overall it is called as the electroneutrality equation. So overall of this system, I can propose 3 equations, chemical equations, that defines the system completely. So the value of E comes out to be 3 over here, right? There is no other species in the product that is getting formed that can combine and give me something new which is not present in the system. Okay, so I stop over here, and for counting the number of species, definitely I have KCl, I have NaCl, I have water, I have chloride ions from here, I have sodium ions and K plus ions, that is potassium ions. That comes out to be overall of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 species. So 6 is the value of N, 3 is the value of E. So in that case, the value of number of components comes out to be 3. That is 6 minus 3 is 3. So hence, this system is a 3-component system that I have justified. But what about the second system? Let me try to explore. The second system says that it has KCl, NaBr, and H2O. right? Now the KCl, again, you write down all the chemical equations, right? So KCl getting dissociated into. So let's see what is the story of the other system that has been given to comparison with the KCl, NaCl, and water system. The second system that we have over here is KCl, NaBr, and H2. Okay, so what is the first step for me to calculate the number of components here? The very first step is just write down, jot down all the chemical equations that you can see can be existing in your container, in your beaker, in your system. Okay, so my container contains KCl, it also contains NaBr, and I put some water into it. The moment I put water into the system, obviously KCl, it is into the aqueous state, and NaBr is also into the aqueous state, right? And remember, when these sodium and potassium salts are in the aqueous state, they get dissociated into their respective ions. Okay, so the first step is KCl aqueous state. You write down the dissociation of KCl into K plus and Cl minus sign. So this is one of the chemical equation that can represent a part of this entire system, right? The second chemical equation, definitely it can go for the dissociation of NaBr. So it is Na giving us Na plus ions and Br minus sign. Okay, now there is no other chemical compound given into the system to me, right? So now what do I need to check over here? Is there any ion that is getting formed after dissociation which can combine with one another to give a new substance which was not present initially into the system? This is what I need to check now before finalizing the number of equations, right? So I have potassium ion in the products and I have chloride ion. If potassium combines with chloride, or definitely it will give me KCl, which was already present in the system. So I don't need to bother about the combination of these two ions. Now I check potassium ion, it is in my system, and also somewhere bromide ions are also floating in my system. Why? Because they have been formed by the dissociation process of NaBr, right? So K plus can combine with Br minus, and when they combine together, they will give me another product, that is KBr. Is KBr present in my system initially? No. This is what I need to check. So that means a combination of K plus and Br minus, which will give me KBr, can be or is definitely another combination which is present in my system, or let's say it is another equation which can describe a part of my system. Okay, so besides these two chemical equations, the combination of K plus and Br minus giving us KBr also becomes another chemical equation. Okay, now let me check the another combination. Na plus and Br minus, definitely if they combine, they will give me NaBr, which was already present in my given system. So I don't need to bother about the combination of these two respective ions, right? So I just check with the other combination. Na plus, if it combines with Cl minus, it can give me NaCl. Now the question is, again, the same question I need to ask myself over here. Is NaCl present in my given system? No. NaCl was not present in my given system over here. So that means there is a new substance which is getting formed from these ions, which are now a part of my system. So NaCl plus and Cl minus, they combine to give another product, a substance, a compound, that is NaCl. And this equation forms another part of my value of E. So overall now there is no other such combination that can be made. So that means all these four equations are there which are a part of my system now. Okay, and before moving on to the finalization of the value of E, what do I need to check is whether the ions are present or not. Okay, remember, first write down all the possible chemical equations. Okay, and then when you're just about to finalize the number of chemical equations, you just have a quick recap of as to, is there any ion present in the system? right? So yes, of course, there are positive and negative ions present in the system. So definitely, without giving a second thought, you write down the last equation as the electroneutrality equation. So overall, I have 5 chemical equations which are there and can sufficiently describe or represent my system of KCl, NaBr, and H2O, right? So the value of E comes out to be 5 from here. Now my next step will be to determine the number of species. To determine the number of species, that is not a difficult task now because I have already written the chemical equations over here. So I have KCl, I have NaBr, I have NaCl, I have KBr. 4 compounds. And what else? Water is there in the system, yes, of course. And chloride ions, potassium ions, bromide and sodium ions, all the ions which are present over here, right? So the value of n is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. A comma is missing between KBr and H2O. So these two are the different species. Don't take them as one. Okay. So we have 9 chemical species over here in my system. Imagine you are having a beaker, and I have just given you KCl and then NaBr and then water into it. And from those 3 compounds, you have now 9 species in your beaker. Okay, so the value of n comes out to be 9. E was already taken up as 5. So what do I get for the number of components? As 4. Hence, KCl, NaBr, and H2O, they form a 4 component system. It's a very interesting part. Okay, so you change just one ion and you get the value of the number of components is entirely changed. Okay, so remember KCl, NaCl, and H2O, they are a 3 component system, whereas KCl, NaBr, and H2O are form a 4 component system. And this is the explanation that we have just learned about. Okay, and what was different in these two systems? Just the change of chloride with bromide. Here potassium and chloride, potassium and sodium both are chloride ions, but here potassium and sodium are different in their respective compounds. In the first case, they were both combining with the chloride ions. So they were chloride salts in the first case, both of them. But in the second case, one of them is a chloride salt and the other is bromide salt. Rest of the things are just the same. So you change one ion, the number of components changes. That is why it is when I just mentioned it in the initial slides that the equilibrium is represented in terms of number of components here. Equilibrium can be represented in terms of number of components, number of phases over here. Okay, in according to Gibbs phase rule. This is one of the most important application, or let's say the significance and the importance of the Gibbs phase rule, right? Okay, so I hope this is clear to you now, very clear, and you can solve such problems if given. Okay, let's have another problem. We have KClO3, which is in the solid phase, and it is giving us KCl, and again in the solid phase, and oxygen, which is obviously in the gaseous phase. So this chemical reaction is given to you, right? And it's a balanced chemical reaction, of course. You need to calculate the number of components present in this particular system and the number of degrees of freedom. Okay, not a problem. Again, whatever is given to you as a system, just try to imagine one thing in your mind. You have a beaker with you, and you on all these components are there present in your beaker, right? So let's move. You'll be able to solve this problem very easily within few minutes. Let's see how to start with. Number of equations is the first step, remember, right? From our previous slides, we had been practicing this, that we calculate the number of, or we determine the number of equations first. Okay, just for the sake of convenience, nothing else. Okay, so KClO3 is giving us KCl and O2. This is one of the equation which is already given to us. Besides this, is there any aqueous state mentioned over here? I cannot see. Is there any thing that which is mentioned or any information given to us that water is present in the system so that we can like think that, okay, KCl is present in aqueous state? Yes, of course, I cannot find any existence of water also in this system. That means this fact also denies that the aqueous state of KCl can be there. Okay, so that means there is no other equation which I can use to represent this system, right? And this is the only equation which is sufficient enough to define this particular system which is given to me. right? Now just try to imagine, let's say water is present in the system. Let us try to assume, let us try to change this problem a little bit. Okay, so if I say water is present in the system, that means you can also think of one more possibility, that the KCl comes out to be in the aqueous state. It can move on into the aqueous state because all these three components are present in the beaker, and they are free to mingle with each other, right? So if I add water to this system, might be it is possible because it is a potassium salt, so it comes into aqueous state. And the moment it comes into the aqueous state, what will happen then? The same thing that happened to NaCl, right? So it could have been dissociated into K plus and Cl minus. So that could have been our next equation. But when does that can happen? Only if we have the presence of water in the system. Okay, so now since no mention of that sort is given in the question, this question is very straightforward and simple, that this is the only equation which can represent the entire system given to us. So the value of E comes out to be 1 from here. I hope this is clear to you very well. So since the number of equations related to the concentrations of constituents is 1 over here, right? Now let us, so the value of E is equal to 1 over here. Okay, now the next step is to determine the number of species which are present in the system. That's also simple. Why? Because no dissociation is taking place, no association is possible. Okay, so we have KClO3, we have KCl, and we have O2. That's simple, right? So the number of species which are present over here is 3. Okay, and since C is equal to N minus E, so that means C is equal to 3 minus 1. And that defines the system as a 2-component system. Okay, so the value of C from here comes out to be 2. Okay, so this is the number of components that we have solved one part of the question. Let's move on to the number of degrees of freedom. If you remember the formula for number of degrees, F is equal to C minus P plus 2, right? So C we have got from here, that is 2. Now we are concerned about the value of P, that is the number of phases. Now from this equation, what can you see? What are the different phases which are present? There is a solid phase, okay, of KClO3. There is another solid phase of KCl, and there is a gaseous phase of oxygen, right? Now remember, I gave you an example of rice mixed up with gram. What happened? Rice was also solid and gram was also solid. And I also told you one thing, that whenever you mix these two solids, rice mixed with gram, they both of them have their definite boundaries. Both of them have their defined and distinct boundaries. So that means they are mechanically separable, right? So that means they form two different phases. Same is the case here also. Solid here, KClO3, and KCl is also solid. So these are two different solids. So two different solids, you mix them, you know what is the boundary of each individual solid state. Okay, KClO3 is different and KCl is different compound. Okay, so from here we can say that the number of phases which are existing in this system is 3. How is it 3? 1 for gaseous oxygen, 1 for the solid KCl, and the third one for solid KClO3. Why? Because a mixture of any two solids can result into two different phases, just like the example we picked up for the rice and gram. Okay, so the value of P comes out to be 3 over here. It's just a conceptual part which is applied over here. Okay, so nothing complicated. C we have just calculated from the above section. So I know the value of P, I know the value of C. Okay, I simply substitute them. C is 2 and P is 3. Okay, so 2 plus 3 minus 2 comes out to be 3. It is a 3-component system, right? I hope the concept is clear to all of you students, right? And please don't deviate from these simple conceptual tips that I have described and defined in these 3 videos. Just go through the videos, okay, very clearly, all the concepts regarding the solving of the problems, as well as numerical problems, or no matter 5 or 10 mark questions, you'll be able to do regarding phase rule. Okay. Last of all, we have another problem, that is Fe, solid phase, and water is given, and FeO is there, solid, and H2 is given. Here H2O is missing its the subscript over here, which is the gaseous state. Okay, so H2O gaseous state is missing over here. So here what is happening? There are two solid phases, FeO and Fe. Okay, so two solid phases are there. And what about the other two? H2O is also gaseous, as I just mentioned. It's missing from here, from the information in the question. And H2O is also in the gaseous phase. Okay, so remember, a mixture of different gases. What do we call it as? One phase or different phases? Okay, we just discussed in our previous video. Fine, like air, we took an example of air there. Okay, so you cannot say that this part of air carries oxygen, so I can see that oxygen is physically having its distinct boundaries from nitrogen. No, you cannot seclude any two or three gases from the mixture of air, or from any mixture of gases. You cannot separate. Why? Because gases are miscible with each other. Okay, so here what is happening? How many phases are there? The gaseous components, they form one phase, right? The reason must be clear to you now. We have discussed it all. And the FeO solid is another phase. So this is the second phase, we can say, and Fe, another solid, forms the third phase. So overall, we have three phases that exist in this system, which is given to me at equilibrium, right? So very tiny concepts you need to just take it in your mind. Solid phase is there, you mix with another solid, definitely you can say, you can define the boundaries of those two solids over here. Okay, so I hope this was helpful to you, really helpful to you. Okay, and in case you have more problems or difficulties regarding these videos, as well as any other problem related to the phase rule and the solving of numericals, please post it in the comment box so that we can continue with those queries then. Thank you.